Dan, I just had a flashback yesterday.
Oh, back to when you were back to your younger days, or
I
what kind
had
of flashback?
it was not the type of flashbacks that you're used to having.
All right.
I mean, I was in a conversation with a manager of a restaurant, and it triggered some repressed feelings that I have pushed way down into the darker areas of my brain, and
Oh
just wish
no.
that they had never come back out. Yeah.
Oh no. I'm not sure I'm liking where
Yeah.
this is going.
No, it's nothing. It's nothing that no one probably has ever experienced. If you've ever had a real, I'm using my air quotes here, a real job. But that is what it made me appreciate. Because sometimes I think my current lifestyle, it's not that I don't appreciate it; it's that I don't notice a lot of things anymore like I used to. Like stop signs and red lights and
Yeah,
alarm clocks.
all those things
Yeah,
that don't really
all
seem to
those.
have any
Yeah,
meaning. All
uh huh.
those meaningless things in your day-to-day operation.
Yeah, due date for tax day and all those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, overrated. Yeah, so I was talking with a restaurant manager, and he was down in the dumps because his restaurant, the sales are down, the unit is underperforming, and he's starting to feel the heat from upper management.
Oh, not a
Yeah,
good position.
no, it wasn't, and I used to have to deal with this when I had a real job. And you always have a boss, and he or she may have unrealistic expectations. But in this case, I was also having flashbacks to when I was a softball coach, because you'd catch it from the parents, because this is wrong and that's wrong and yada yada yada. But it just seemed to me that if you are if you're running a store, a restaurant, wherever, if you're in charge, if you're a boss, um, there's probably 27 legitimate reasons why this you're underperforming. You know, and that's what this guy was telling me. And so he has all of these reasons why. And and he admits one of them could be because he's just bad at what he does, but he would argue that he isn't, because he's had success in the past, but now things aren't going so hot. But he talked about the weather has effect on sales, road construction, the local economy, the advertising that the company gives to the particular market that he's in, a bunch of competition, other restaurants that got built in his area, changes to traffic patterns where people can't turn left off the street, all sorts of things. And I agreed with him on every single one of them. But he had said, but when it comes down to where the rubber meets the road, his boss is saying it's because that, he's stinking it up. It's the manager's fault.
Oh, yeah. All those contributing factors, which are probably contributing factors, are not looked at by the upper management. They are just wanting answers from him, and they're blaming him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It got me thinking, though. It is as if you're the boss, if you're like, so there's regional managers, let's, like, I don't know, I keep using like Walgreens, there's like Walgreens everywhere. So you have like a store manager, and then there's like a regional manager or a district manager who's
Yep.
above them, and they'll be in charge of like 5 to 10 to 20 stores. And it seems like the cause of the problem isn't necessarily rooted in reality, more than it is rooted in the district manager's attitude towards who the manager is. You know, and I you see that a lot with. I remember back in high school football, there was this one kid on the team that the coaches just hated, and if he did something wrong, it was because he stinks and he's no good. But if it was the other kid who was the golden boy that something went wrong, he was like, oh, hey, the sun was in your eyes, you slipped and fell. That's always going to happen. But this guy here, he's really down in the dumps. I was having flashbacks to when I had a job because, if you're in a business, you know what's going on. There's 1,001 variables that lead to success and failure, but someone is in a position to just declare that everything else doesn't matter except for this. And this is why the store is underperforming. And it's because you're a lousy manager.
Yeah, you're not pulling your weight. You are the reason why, even though I will say sometimes I think, there's always those levels, like you said, the regional, and then there's probably like another person above him, and everyone's always looking down to the next person below them to deliver the results. And sometimes I think, at least I've had the experience where I'll have a manager that wants results, knows that I can deliver them, and then their way of trying to get them out of me and motivate me is to, make me believe that I am the reason why everything's wrong. And so that's like their motivation. They're like, hey, get going.
Yeah.
Get at it.
Yeah. Well, and that is what this guy was saying. He was saying that this company just beats him up. And it's not just him, but everyone. They always conclude it's because the manager stinks. The manager's not committed, yada, yada. And he was saying how they just threaten you of your job. They hold that over your head all the time. But he had said after a while, he lives in fear of losing his job. But after a while, he looks around, everyone else is getting threatened, but no one loses their job. So it starts to, it starts to like ring hollow. But he said also at the same time, it's also, when your boss says that to you, it's kind of real.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta pay attention to that, because even though you may not feel the threat of losing your job, or you may not think it's going to actually happen, you just never know. So it's always a real threat. You never know for sure.
Yeah, and that is why when I was sitting there talking with him, I was in 3 different realities. I was back to when I had a real job and I was living in fear. I had to get my 0.2 up to a 0.4 or else. And then I was a softball coach dealing with needy parents. And then I was also the owner of a world-class firewood delivery service who says, I'm good. you can keep that lifestyle because it is not for me, man.
Well, and you're also running a successful social media, I guess, channel
empire
network. Yeah, empire. There's the word. Empire. Yeah.
No, man. If I had a real boss with me right now, I would have been fired a long time ago. Because why are you not doing this, Joe? Why are you not doing that? Why didn't I told you about this last year and you still haven't taken steps to improve your thumbnails? Why aren't you using a microphone? Where your spending's out of control. I can hear it right now.
And even then, on the other side of your firewood business, you've heard multiple times that you're doing a lot of things wrong. So if you had a boss there, you probably would also have been fired.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you what, though, being a sole proprietor. Okay. So it's Ohio Wood Burner, but it could be called Joe's Firewood Company, and, it just feels so good in a lot of these comments. Cause in a way, your commenters are your boss in a way, like your customers are your boss. And I just, there is something therapeutic to when I reply, I will do what I want.
Oh, yes.
And I've said that. Yeah, I've said that a lot over the years. When someone says, I don't think you need to do it like this, you need to do it like that. My reply is, I will do what I want. Yes. Man, that is such a therapeutic statement.
Or if what I'm doing is wrong, I will continue to keep doing it.
Yeah, I'll just keep doing it wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, so I just had a flashback about the old days of having a real job, being accountable by a person probably with unrealistic expectations, and he or she is probably getting it from above too. And you know what they always say, it rolls downhill.
It definitely
And then
does.
they put it on top of me or whoever the next person is, and then they expect me to put it on top of someone else. But I have just learned that there's better ways to motivate people than by threatening them.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of guy over the years too, you know, you learn when you're on a salary that you get paid the same if you stink it up or if you're a hard charger. And and then I learned over the years too, you know, when they keep threatening you to fire you and they never do that, just ignore that kind of stuff. But it's, you know, I just felt bad for this guy because he was just beat down, man.
Oh,
And some
not
people are
good.
vulnerable to that kind of stuff. And, you know, I just felt it was like reaffirming about the choices that I have made and where I'm at right now. I mean, it could all come to an end tomorrow, but for the most part, it's nice not having some jerk boss over top of you, ignoring the 26 other reasons why that the business stinks, except for the one that involves me.
Yeah. And I will just say it. Fortunately, I have been very, I guess, I don't know, blessed, or I'm just grateful that in my 13 years that I've been with this company I'm with, and the 8 or 10 and with the company before this one, I've never actually had situations like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to. I mean, I've heard other people from other companies and other teams, but I've just always been able to land in a spot where, I mean, we have deadlines, we have expectations to meet, but there's never, like you said, like that feeling of like someone just lording over you, watching every move, and then the
Yeah.
pressure just builds. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never had that. Knock
Yeah.
on
It's no
wood.
fun. Yeah. It's no
Yeah,
fun.
no kidding.
Yeah. I don't know.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. And it got, you know, that's what this guy was like saying, you know, got to do it now, got to do it now, and this and that. And he says, like, all this direction comes from above. It's got to be done immediately. And I was just having these flashbacks. This company that I used to work for, they were like that. They would send the directions down, and you'd have to execute this plan. And then, by golly, you just put all of your attention into it to getting whatever it is fixed and up and running. And then, as like the next day, it was like do the opposite, you know. And the message, the inside joke was always it pays to procrastinate around here because if you don't do it, it'll, you know, you would have saved yourself a lot of work in a couple of days when they changed their mind to do the exact opposite. But it's like, Dan, being a sole proprietor, it just goes away, man. I'll run
There's
the business the way I want to run it.
right. There's Yeah, we have a thing. One of the teams I used to be on, we would do what was called sprints, where like you have a objective and you have to get they have a sprint of like a 2 week period where you work on that one thing, and that's kind of like what I look at my wood yard. I think of when I go out there, I am in it full hobbyist sprint mode,
Yeah.
like just getting stuff done left and right. Actually, the complete opposite. The
Well,
complete opposite.
when I want to go on a sprint, I'll stand up too fast and get lightheaded, and then I'll just have to sit back down until that feeling goes away.
Yeah,
And then I can't remember what I was supposed to be doing to begin with.
I only sprint to the bathroom when needed.
That darn chili always comes back to get you.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear it a lot too in like comments about you know, I'll always have this ongoing battle with the industry about, you know, gotta sell more, time is money, and yada yada. And I disagree with all that. And that's that's what I like people. I don't know. People say, you know, you're spending way too much time stacking wood. You need to make more wood. Time is money. And I always say, you know, making more firewood is too much work. You make more money stacking it. And oh, by the way, time is not money.
No,
Time is time, and I will spend it the way I want to.
yeah, I don't know. You remember back a few? I think it was a few episodes ago. We kind of touched on the whole debate about cycle time, and that's kind of like my thought when I'm out in the wood yard. Like, time is not money because there's nobody demanding that I get so much done or that I need to get done. But I think a
Yeah.
lot of people focus on that time. How fast can I get this wood split and be done with it? But then you're really
Yeah.
not done with it. I don't know.
Right. And I hear it when I run my Yappa 405 processor because it has that perfect split system in it. And some people are just annoyed by it because they say it's too slow. It needs one push and go on to the next log. It's too slow. Time is money, you know? And I'm like, no, it isn't. Time, yeah. If I'm making a cord of firewood, and I don't care how you're making it, in under an hour, um, Joe says that's fast enough. And making it another, saving yourself another 20 minutes, I don't know. I don't get it. Time is not money.
And 9 times out of 10, if you really were to analyze every minute of your day from the time you woke up to the time you went to sleep, you'd realize that there's a lot of money then being wasted because
Yeah, I know.
there's a lot of time then when you're doing things that you're not making money. It's not time is
Yeah.
not money.
Well, that's why I don't even do like in-depth accounting for my business. We were talking about that the other day with like fuel. You don't, how much do you spend a year on fuel, Joe? And I was like, I don't know. I don't keep track of it because it's a waste of time. What am I going to do if I figure out how much money I spend a year on gas? And I'm like, holy cow, I've spent all this money on gasoline.
Yeah.
I think I'll spend exactly the same amount that it will take me to do the rest of my job. There's nothing I can do about it. So why waste your time? People talk about wasting time stacking wood. Well, I think it's wasting time doing your accounting.
I was just going to say, and then that time that you spend figuring out how much fuel you used throughout the year, that time
Yeah.
definitely didn't get you any money. Yeah, it's not like you said. It's not going to change the fact that next year you're going to use just as much fuel as you're going to need to use.
Yeah. There is no alternative. Like, what's the
No.
alternative? Quit using fuel? So therefore, why do it? That's just the way I see things. Yeah. Yeah, but hurry, hurry, hurry. I don't know. And then do you also think too, because I know that you get a lot of these comments too about, you got to, you're spending too much time this, got to work faster and this and that. Do you really think that people that say these kind of things actually believe that, or they actually live that way? Or is it
I
just like a
I don't know.
cliche that people say?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I never understood that either. I'll get comments on like when I'm using the Wolf Ridge horizontal splitter at it's taking too long, you're spending too much time. But like what there's no need.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it for 12 hours a day. If what I do takes 40 minutes instead of taking 20, what's the difference?
I
And I
totally agree.
and I think the one thing that sparks comments is that by them sitting there watching, they feel like they're wasting time watching me waste time, air quotes. So
Uh-huh.
that's why they just lash out. They're like, I don't know. I never get that
Uh-huh.
either. I don't understand it.
That's what I always say. What's the hurry? It's just because I have it on video, so I can prove it. I made a cord of firewood. Well, I took out the perfect split and put the traditional knives in. And I sped all the settings up on the machine. And the fastest I ever made a cord was 17 minutes. That's
Whew.
flying, man. Flying. With my perfect split, just chilling and just doing my thing, I'm probably averaging around 36 to
Yeah.
40 minutes. For whatever reason, 36 sticks in my head because I'm always looking at the timer. It's right there in front of me on my computer screen. And I was like, what's the big deal here? And then we're going to say, well, if you're not, just think of all that extra time, you could be making more firewood. And I was thinking, I don't think I would be making more firewood because this is pretty much all I'm going to make today, no matter how long it takes. And I'm good with it.
Yeah. I I know exactly what you mean. It's like,
Yeah.
what would be, I don't know.
And that's probably why I don't need a boss telling me,
Yeah.
Joe, you need to work faster because we got to get more production out of you today. And I'm thinking, no, you don't. And
Nope.
no, you're not. You're not going to get either out of me. I
No.
think I'm doing okay. I'm sole proprietor. I do what I can. I wish I always could get some more, especially in firewood, which is what you learn is that it's easy to sell firewood. And you always wish you have more, but you never do. I don't know if it's possible to get enough.
There's never enough. Never enough. Nope.
Do you have
Definitely.
enough mini firewood?
No, I do not.
You need to make it faster. Time is money.
Time is money. Yeah,
Jeez.
that's another thing where even if I had everything lined up, I was talking with the guys from Fuelwood from the UK, and I was asking about extending the hydraulic hose from my tractor to the Kinlet 200, and they said, well, if you get over a certain length, the oil will heat up, if you're running it too long. And I said, well, what's your definition of running it too long? And they go, well, after around 8 hours. And I said, there would never be a time when I run this thing for even 1 hour straight.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah,
I can't do anything for 8 hours.
No, no, I would never. There would never be a situation that I would be in running that Kinlet for 8 straight hours.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
I can't even do nothing for 8 hours. I just can't do anything. That's just too long,
even
man.
Sleep. I can't hardly even sleep for 8 hours.
Yeah. Here's the other thing too. I said though, Dan, walk a mile in my shoes. So I'm not saying that I'm the most productive person in this world, but I'm definitely not lazy. And I get a lot done all by myself. But if I were to work at a firewood company that is, a 40-hour work week of working in a wood yard, and I don't even care if you're sitting in a cab or something, because you're always getting up and standing up, getting down and climbing up ladders and this and that. I wouldn't be able to get out of bed for day 2. The boss would be saying, hey, has anyone seen Joe? It's like 3 days I haven't seen him. He hasn't come back. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I would want to do it, but I also don't know if I could do it. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, and I don't know if I could do the same thing over and over and over for 8 straight hours. Like you said, if the wood yard was run like a 9 to 5 40-hour work, 40-hour a week work company, I wouldn't want to be out there running the splitter 8 hours every day for a week or a month or however long. No way. Yeah, I would not want to. I'd lose my mind, and I would need a change of pace.
Yeah. Well, we know there's people out there that do, though, and great for them.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? If there was something to live that lifestyle, I would want it to be firewood, because there's always variety. There's always something else going on. I mean, you're working with wood. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, for me, I don't know. It's like my brain or my body would say the heck with this first. One of them. One of the two would. Yeah. And I think that's why I'm probably in such a good mood anymore, because now I just do what needs to get done. I've said this before too. I have this internal alarm. I can't explain it, but it's kind of like my forecaster. I can just see problems or needs, 3, 4, 6 months down the road. And I just got this alarm clock that tells me, Joe, you got to get busy.
Yep.
And I do.
You just have that feeling.
Yeah. Yep. And then I don't feel like doing it anymore, and I don't do it anymore. I'll do something different. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I think is nice about firewood is that, well, at least from my point of view, if I'm run the splitter a few days and then I can run the saw a few days, or I can do something, work with the package up shipments to send out mini firewood. I mean, that to me is like why I enjoy what I'm doing, but maybe it's just because I'm also I don't like structure, like routines. Like I don't want to, every day from 8 till noon, run the chainsaw. Every day from 1 to 4, run the splitter. That would not be for me.
Yeah. I had I don't know if a life event, I don't know if that's the right thing. It was something I witnessed when I was younger, working for the man. And this company I worked for, I mean, they were a very regimented company. They had it going on. I don't mean that to be negative, but I just mean they were regimented. It was organized, and all hands were on deck, and all the oars were rowing in the same direction. And when we would have our yearly bonus review, we had to meet with the boss, and the boss would tell you that you did a terrible job all year, you did a great job, and this and that. This other guy that I used to work with, he was older than me. He was at a different time of his career. He was on his way out, but he did a really good job. But all of the bosses hated him, and I could never figure out why. And it was because I learned it at a meeting that we had, and the boss turned to him and he says, "I don't think that you are 100% committed to your job," he said to him.
Ooh.
And like if he would have said that to me, I'd like, oh my God, of course I am. I love this company, and yada, that's making up everything that would come to my mind. This guy says, right in front of everyone, he says, or he said, "You're not passionate about your job." This guy said right to the boss, he says, "The reason you feel that way is because I am not passionate about my job," he said, right in front of everyone. He says, "I am passionate about my family. I'm passionate about my hobbies. I'm passionate about my boat and my children. And a job is something that I do to give me what my life, what I want to do in my life." He says, "I want to do a good job. I put my time in. I do a good job for you. But if I come off as not passionate, it's because I am not." And I was like, good night. I just wanted to just pump my fist in the air and go like, yeah, man, that's what I wanted to say, but I'm chicken, and that always stuck with me about what are you doing all this for? And that's where, people that start saying, time is money and it makes me wonder if they're a boss somewhere else. I don't know, because I don't, I'm like that guy, now I am passionate about firewood. They might not think that I am passionate. It's because I got other stuff going on.
Yeah. But I would definitely have stood up and applauded that gentleman.
You'd have gotten fired. All right. Well, Dan, here I got, I'm putting you on a 30-day performance action plan.
Oh my
and
God.
We'll review this at the end of 30 days. If I don't see any progress, we're going to start talking about you being replaced here.
What is my point scale? 1 to 5?
You got to get your 0.4 up to a 0.6.
Oh,
or else.
if I'm at a 0.4, so I'm not even at 1 yet. Boy, I'm really slacking.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I need you to hurry up and get it done.
All right.
Time's money, Dan. Let's go.
Yes. Time is money. We better wrap this up. People are losing money listening to this.
Oh my gosh. We're killing the gross domestic, what is it? The
GDP.
Yeah. If we are going into a recession, it's because of the Woodhounds podcast.
Yes. A lot of money lost during this last half hour.
Yeah.
All right. So
all right, Dan.
You want to strike it up?
Yeah, let's strike up the band, and I want to thank you for just some fun babbling. Sometimes that's good just to have this.
If that's what it took to get that flashback out of your mind and those repressed memories to come out, and I'm glad we had this conversation.
Yeah, gosh, I was starting to feel those same feelings, that being trapped into a situation like that. Yeah, that was bad.
Yep.
I'm glad. But glad it's not me.
There you go. All right. Did you strike up the band?
We already struck up the band.
Oh, okay. All right. Well then, thanks for tuning in to the #1 firewood podcast in the world, the Woodhounds. And we'll see you back here on your favorite streaming service next Wednesday, 5 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and please consider giving us a 5-star review. It does help us get better numbers and get us seen by a larger audience. All right, well, Dan, how about this? Let's tell everyone out there to hurry
up.
and settle.
For nothing.
I thought it was going to be settle down. Hurry up and settle down. Yeah. And have
a great day.